Hi, Alan. Thank you for reaching out. I know this situation with Pineview Cottage has raised some concerns, but I'm here to explain everything in a simple and clear way. There are four main things to discuss. The first one is the protections you are entitled to under the law. Second, potential claims and interests that may affect your ownerships. Third, if David and Tina's claims will impact your position. And finally, the concept of interest and title overriding, which is ITO. The Land Registration Act 2002 is designed to protect property owners like you by making ownership clear and secure. By registering Pineview Cottage at the Land Registry, you have established yourself as the legal owner. The first one I'm going to explain to you is the ITO framework. First is interest. The rights and claim that others may have in the property, such as Lena's lease and David's option to purchase. Your title. Your ownership is protected by Section 9 of the LRA 2002, and it ensures that unregistered interests don't affect your rights, unless qualified as overriding interests. And finally, overriding. Some unregistered rights, like short leases or rights based on someone's occupation, can override your ownership based on Schedule 3 of LRA 2002. Tina claims that she has a lease with Charles that allows her to live there for 5 more years. Let's analyze her position under the LRA 2002 and let's look at some case laws. Some rights can impact the property even if it's not listed in the land registry. It is known as overriding interest. Tina's residence may constitute an overriding interest if she has an actual occupation of the property. Her rights are bound by the new owner. If Tina has been living in Pineview Cottage, her lease can be qualified as an overriding interest, based on Schedule 3, Paragraph 2 of the LRA 2002. A case we can look at is William and Glinsbank and Boland, 1981. A wife's actual occupation of her home is protected of her interest, even though it isn't in the land registry. If Tina has it, it may affect your occupation. And if Tina has a valid lease of 7 years, it also may override your title. A case we can look at is Street and Mountford, 1985. It establishes the criteria for what is considered as a valid lease. For example, like an exclusive possession. Tina need to prove that her lease is binding on you. So, in short, the Land Registration Acts ensure that your ownership is strong, but it also recognizes some unregistered rights as it affects your position. Let's dive deeper into how this applies to Tina and David. Tina claims that she has a lease with Charles that allows her to live in the room for 5 more years. Let's analyze her position under the LRA 2002 and let's look at some case laws. So, the legal test for overriding interest. Her lease is less than 7 years old and she don't have to be registered under Section 33B of the LRA 2002. Her lease is still enforceable. And Ellen, your title is registered under the Section 29 of the LRA and you have the rights over unregistered interest. Well, Tina's lease can qualify as an overriding interest under Schedule 3, Paragraph 1 of the LRA 2002. So, a case we can look at is the Link Lending and Bustard case. The claimant had a beneficial interest in her home, but she was detained in a mental facility. Bustard sought to establish that she has an overriding interest in the property due to an actual occupation. So, it was confirmed that actual occupation must be visible. It has to be visible to be able to continue to qualify as an overriding interest. If Tina has been visibly living there, her lease may bind you. So, this case, the Link Lending and Bustard case, is very important here. It confirmed that actual occupation must be visible and it continues to qualify as an overriding interest. If Tina has been actually visibly living in the property, her lease may bind you. And another case that we can look at is the Thompson and Boyd case. This case explains about actual occupation. It requires the person to be physically living there. Tina is physically living in the property, so she can argue that her lease is enforceable. If her lease is valid, you will have to respect it. If not, you can ask her to leave the property. But if her occupation is temporary and there's evidence that she wants to leave, her claim may fail. Now, let's discuss David's claim. He says that he had an agreement with Charles to buy Pineview Cottage. This is called an option to purchase, which is a type of interest in land. Your title, Alan, is protected because David's option is not registered. His option does not qualify as an overriding interest like Tina's lease. So, is David's option to buy valid? He claims that he has a choice to buy the property via an agreement with Charles. It is called an option to purchase. The law usually requires important interests like an option to buy. It needs to be registered in the land registry. So, David's option isn't registered. Therefore, it will not likely override your title. We can look at the case of De Lusignan and Johnson. Mr. Johnson sold his property to Mr. De Lusignan, but a third party has entered into an option to purchase but argued that the option should override Mr. De Lusignan's registered ownership. So, David's option to purchase did not appear to have registered in the land registry. So, David's unregistered title will not affect your title, Alan, unless David can make it as an overriding interest. So, David's option to purchase does not qualify as an overriding interest and it wasn't registered, so it will not affect your title as it is clearly stated in this case. Well, another case that we can look at is Mercer and Liverpool, St. Helens and South Lancashire Railway case. This sets the principle that unregistered option to purchase cannot be bind with registered new owners. So, David's claims most likely will not affect your title because it won't impact your ownership because his claim is not registered. To conclude everything, Tina's lease and David's option represents the claims on your property. Your title will be protected under Section 29 of the LRA 2002. It ensures that unregistered interests don't bind you unless they qualify as an overriding interest. Tina's lease may override your title if it is supported by her actual occupation. And finally, the LRA 2002 is designed to protect your rights as a registered owner. So, there's nothing that you have to worry about. Thank you.